Welcome back to the studio. Uh, I still have paint all over me and drywall dust all over me. I look like I've been spending some time in the North Pole. Um, Tonight we're going to actually get to the engagement part of the double wedding ring, but I have a part of a little story I'm going to tell you. The story needs two little backstories, and I have several parts of this video I'm going to make. So I decided I'm going to tell you a part of the backstory each part of the video before I get to the actual story. That way it'll be more entertaining. Uh, when I was a kid, my parents were divorced, and I don't know, 4 or 5, and I had 3 older brothers, and they were mean as snakes, mean as snakes. And I believe my mother was working at the time, but a lot of times my older brothers were supposed to watch me. And we had a house that was on a regular lot. And keep in mind that I now live in the same town that I was born in. It's a very small, well, it's very small then. It's probably about 35,000 now, population. Anyway, we had a regular sized house lot. Basically, the house and the garage almost took up the whole yard. There was a very tiny little yard, big enough for maybe a little picnic table. Um, but in the back of the yard, if you went through the back fence, there was a field. And I think the field was basically like a big easement for the railroad. And on the railroad tracks was a building. Imagine like a depot, but it wasn't a railroad track for people. It was not a consumer track. It was a freight track. But still imagine like a little a depot for the conductors or for the freight or whatever, maybe the people that worked on the train. And it had like a little porch or a dock or something, and it had a roof. And I remember my brothers, I was following my brothers all around. They wanted me to just stay at the house so they could run around the neighborhood and be little gangsters, little hoodlums, because that's what they were back then. They were hoodlums, meanest snakes they were. And so I wasn't listening. I wanted to follow them around because they were my big brothers. So what they did, they stuck me up on the roof of that depot train station. And I was only 4 or 5, and I couldn't get back down. And ever since then, I've been afraid of heights. And that's an important part of this story that you have to remember later. I've been afraid of heights ever since. And I'll tell you how bad it is. My family all knows this. I can't go anywhere on vacation, like hiking or anything that is near heights. I have gone skiing, but I have to go skiing in a place that is like a bowl all the way down. It has trees on both sides, but I don't like the lift at all. Um, but if I'm in bed with the blankets over me, completely comfortable, and I'm channel surfing, and one of the channels pops up and it's somebody on a rock face or somebody on one of those bungee cords about to jump off a bridge, my whole stomach just falls out from under me, and I have adrenaline in my legs and in my body, and I just am a nervous wreck for about 20 or 30 minutes. That's how bad it is still. Anyway, keep that story in mind later. So tonight, I said, is the engagement for the double wedding ring. We're going to actually get into the digital part of the sewing. These are the colors that I've lined out that I'm going to be using on the quilt. This is the lightest blue, and so that's going to be used on the darkest part of the border so that it shows up. I don't want to use white on that. So I'm going to be using this blue um, as the largest sewing area, or this one. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to take them over and look. This one I think is probably too dusty, so I may eliminate that as an option. And this one looks a little bit too royal, so it may be something like that. So this is going to be the center of the double wedding ring, and those are the ones that I'm going to be doing today. I'm just going to sew those, and then these will probably be the arc. And then depending on if I decide to do it, one or two components on the part surrounding the arc, that'll be these two. So this stays here for the border. This will go with me over to the quilting machine, and we'll load that up. I'm getting a little hydrogen water. We're going to be loading a block, not a panto, and I'm going to be marking it on the quilt, which is just a phrase. I'm not actually marking anything on the quilt. I'm just using the outline of the block to outline the machine with. I beep the machine as I move it around, click the machine, and it tells the machine where that design is going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and load this thread. I'm going to take my water with me because I'm thirsty and I need the hydrogen. And let's see if we can get something done. Okay, this block here shows you pretty much what we're shooting for. We want to put the Elegant Feathers block in the center of the double wedding ring block. And you can see I've already gone ahead and done a few of them. And now I'm going to go ahead and show you what we're going to do, how this process works. Again, we're going to be bringing this design in as a block. And before you can even bring the block in, it's going to ask you to mark the location on the quilt. So what I do, I'm going to show you before I do it. Each of these seam lines where the seam is on the arc, that's where I make a location mark on the machine, just to give it plenty of reference points on the quilt. So you'll hear the machine beep every time I push the button, and I'm going to be doing that every time there's a seam that meets the white block. And I'm going to be doing this white block up here next, and I'm going to move the camera a little bit. I'm going to reposition the camera, and then I'm going to start it again. I'm going to first show you what it looks like on the screen, because most of it takes place up here. And then after I do it once on the screen, the whole block, and then start the sewing, then I'll do the next one. I'll show you what it looks like on the fabric. Okay, we're going to hit Design Sew Quilt, Start New. We're going to erase anything in progress. Yes, we're sure we want to erase it. And we're going to work with a block pattern. And we're going to mark on quilt. And you just heard the motors disengage. So it says move the needle to the first point. And in my case, that's going to be down here, as I said, and I'm going to move in this direction, and then around and around and around. And as I said, I'm going to do a registration mark at each one of these seam lines, and you'll hear it beep. But I'm going to be looking at the screen, so you won't see the quilt. You'll only see the you only hear the beep, and you'll see them pop up as we go. And I'm doing this one-handed. Now for the very last one, we can go ahead and just hit the button close block, and that will go ahead and close it off. Now we have, you can see a kind of an irregular shape, but it is the wedge, you know, the center block shape. And so what we'll do now is hit finished. And we're gonna hit downloads because that's where my design's at. Downloads, and I'm gonna hit E for elegant feathers. And there's my design, so I'm gonna hit that. See, it's highlighted, and I'll hit continue. I'm gonna hit finish twice, and sew quilt. And it's gonna ask me to select the first pattern, but there's only one pattern because it's all one piece. So I'm gonna select it, it's highlighted green. And now I'm gonna hit continue, and sew quilt. And it's gonna go to the first location, and it just did my stay stitch. I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead on this quilt video for today, so I can get this off to the film developer so you can have a video this week. And then I'll pick back up when I get to the arcs. The process is going to be pretty much the same for the arcs, but we will repeat the process again, and we'll get the design in the arcs as well. Now there's going to be a lot more of those because the arc, there's 4 arcs per wheel. There's only 1 center per wheel, per ring. And at some point I'm going to have to come up with something where the rings interlock, that 4 patch. I haven't come up with that yet. Absolutely no idea what I'm going to do there. But I do have the idea for the outside border and for the void between the ring and the border. So until then, you be good and keep piecing it together.